It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Podcast, the place to catch up on all the regional and national rugby in Wales. You can find us on all the usual social media platforms and message us through there if you want, or you can email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. So all the boring stuff out the way, let's talk rugby.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Wrap Podcast with me, Lee G. Joining me as always is a full crew, James, Jamie and Harley. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hello. So one of us is sounding very cheery this evening and the rest of us just kind of looking at James and going, bugger off. So we'll come to that bit later, James. We'll come to that bit later anyway. So how have we been other than rugby, gents? Are we all okay? Are we all having a nice time?
Yeah,
well,
it's great.
I have a bone to pick with you, Lee.
Go on then, mate.
Well, actually, no, because it's actually to say you were right. Because you said last week when I wasn't on the pod that I was training to have my head, kicked in and shoved up my ass. well, I played on the weekend, and so I've recently broke into the first team, which is
a terrible idea.
Yeah, which is a lot higher standard than I expected, and I love it. Until I got down to Petersfield on Saturday, for those that don't know, sort of around in the Chichester area, and the guy I was propping against, someone goes to me about 10 minutes before kickoff. He was playing Nat 1, Nat 2 for the past 10 years. I was like, what? Yeah. He's just dropped down this season to the level we're at. Yeah, he's been playing National 1, National 2. It was like scrummaging against a fucking lorry.
What division are your team?
Hampshire 1, so like level 7 in the pyramid, whatever it is. Like, it's better than fucking Div 4 West Central Althwen versus fucking Gleis RFC back home. Put it that way.
So, are you tight or loose?
I ended up in the number 8 position, mate. I was fucking so far back.
Ended up a fullback going, I'm not going anywhere near that scrum. You can bugger off.
Loose generally, yeah. But at the lower levels, I'll fill in the tight head. But at this level, I'm a bit stronger at loose when I'm not scrummaging against a walrus.
What you need to do, mate, is grow a big bushy beard. That's what you need to do. And that people get scared. If you've got a big bushy beard and you're a prop, people don't like that. They go, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere near him." That's the secret to propping.
For once in your life, you were right. I was training to get my ass kicked, and my head shoved up my ass. But that's the only time you'll ever be right.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, let's do drink of the week then. We'll start with you, James, seeing as you're recovering from having your head stuffed up your ass on the weekend. What drink have you got to recover with, my friend?
I have gone for gin in the signature blue lemonade in the Bridgend Ravens reusable cup. just to remind Harley of New Year's.
That's nothing like New Year's. I can't see mud anywhere.
Yeah,
So,
but
that's gin.
It's gin in a cup filled with blue lemonade because I'm a child.
That's classy, that is, man. That's classy.
Yeah.
I mean, what gin is it? Please say it's something shit like Gordon's. Like, don't say you've ruined a nice gin.
No, it is like, I think it's a very cheap gin. I don't know what it is. It was.
Don't ruin good gin on that shit with that sort of blue lemonade shit.
No, I wouldn't ruin good gin.
It offends me worse than when you call us the Blues.
It's an honour to be called the Blues. They had heritage. They won stuff.
They got their own bus and everything. Harley, what's your drink, mate?
So I've got a little bit of taste of back home in Devon. So this is Otterbright from the Otter Brewery in Ambrose. It's just really nice, like bitter.
Proper beer.
Yeah. I said proper beer. I feel like I should have a piss pot handle mug, but I don't have one of them in my mum's house, so I can't.
Okay. Jamie, what about you, mate?
I got a beer called Thirsty Ferret from the Badger Brewery.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I haven't had this before, so I had this for Christmas. My brother bought, it's a gift set, so it came with crisps and a couple of bottles of these. 4.4%, malty and full-bodied. Yeah, it's fine, it's pleasant, it's inoffensive.
You'd like
it's a decent beer.
I've had it before.
Nice.
Yeah, it is.
It's one of my favourites from the Badger.
It's
so I can't believe this then. I'm the one with a stupid beer this week. And when I say stupid beer, so for my birthday at the start of December, so far back ago, so my boy got me some beers because he thought I liked the beer that you like, Jane. And I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. So this is it's.
Oh, I like Fault City. Yeah,
you're welcome to it, mate. Raspberry, strawberry, and coconut ripple, a modern sour beer.
Yes. What do you think, Lee? Oh, look at the colour on that.
Just the smell. It's like dog piss.
It looks like something you'd have after very strong antibiotics.
Whoa,
it looks wonderful.
When it says sour, I mean,
is it sour, Lee? Is that what it is? Is a sour beer sour? Yeah, that's generally how it works, isn't it?
For
those of us in audio format, Lee's face just imploded.
So, on another point, and I'm gonna line the fuck you. Oh my god. So I'm a little bit dehydrated at the minute with good reason. So cast your mind back 6 months and have my operation and that kind of stuff. So I've had to have my 6 month checkups this week. Today, and to have a 6 month checkup, you have to take some very strong stuff that empties your body of everything. And I mean, it literally empties everything. Yesterday was not pleasant.
Nice.
So I'm very, very dehydrated today. But my good news is that I'm 6 months and I'm still clear. So I'm tickety-boo, everything's happy and we're all good. It's just, I've had a couple of things of tea and then that fucking beer. Fucking sour raspberry beer. So I'm going to be alternating it with a sip or two of water as well as I aim to.
Well, that is good news, isn't it? Fair play. That's very good news.
Yeah,
that's a nice
it
way
is.
To start off the pod.
If you ever want a video of what my insides look like, apparently I can get that from the doctor.
Save that for the Patreon, mate.
Yeah, save that for the special. Right.
Special episode. Guess the colon.
Yeah, they give you a map and everything. It's really, they've got a screen up there, and you can and a little diagram, and you can see where the camera is going. So you've got the screen that shows you like the video of what is there, and a little screen that shows you where this camera is inside you. You'd never be more fascinated and grossed out at the same time. It's a very strange experience, yes. Right, let's crack on with the news desk then, Jane. What have we got on news desk, mate?
Okay, so this is going to be in 2 sections. Okay, we're going to start off with the crap news first, and then we'll end on positive with good news. So starting off then, George North, he's been assessed after he injured his shoulder at Ellis Park on Sunday. The Wales centre was replaced on the first half of Osprey's fantastic comeback win, being seen with an ice pack on his shoulder. So fingers crossed there for George. That could be a bit of a hammer blow there for Wales. We just have to see what the verdict is on that. And then today, Ryan Woodman from the Dragons, he's set for a spell on the sidelines after he suffered a serious thumb injury against the Sharks on Sunday. Real shame that. I've been very impressed with Ryan Woodman. He was excellent yesterday. Whenever he stepped into the Dragons team, he's really put in some impressive performances. So that's a bit of a disappointment. He's been replaced today as Wales under-20s captain by his Dragons teammate Harry Ackerman. So, yeah, well done to Harry. And fortunately, bad news for Ryan, but hopefully speedy recovery. So let's go on to the good news then. So good news, Rio Dyer. He signed a new deal with the Dragons. I believe it's a 2-year deal. He was on the radar of clubs in England and in France, but let's be honest, I don't think there was any real danger of the Dragons losing him because he was under the cap threshold. So I think they were always confident they were going to keep Rio. And he has said that, he wants to carry on playing for Wales and establish himself in the first team, which he's got a very good chance of doing now with Louis Rees-Zammit out of the picture. So that's good news there for Dragons and Wales. And over in Cardiff then, 20-year-old Mackenzie Martin, Big Mac as he's known affectionately by the supporters, he signed a new long-term contract with Cardiff Rugby. So it's becoming quite the season for Big Mac. So that's it. That's the news.
Hang on. If we're going to mention the fact that he signed a new deal, then you also have to mention the video.
Can I take the video? No, I want to take this. Right, we've been praising Osprey's social media ever since that shitty Gareth Anscombe debacle. And fucking hell, what on earth was that? Also, missing out a trick of bringing in Duran Duran from Rio. I know no one his age will have heard of Duran Duran. James looks confused at the concept of Duran Duran.
I was the one who suggested it in the group chat.
But God, some terrible signing announcements out of the East. Not the signings, just the videos are shit. Do better, guys.
Maybe that's what we should do over the weekend, just to occupy, because it's no games this weekend. So to occupy our time, we should do songs that go with players. So like her name was Rio, we'll go with Rio Dyer and stuff like that, and then we'll just throw it out on social media and knock your socks off, and we'll find some of the best ones for next week.
Return of the Mac. There you go.
I get this point. As stuff comes into James's head now through the pod, he's just going to shout it out, and we'll be in the middle of discussing the Dragons game, and he's going to go, "Oh, I've got one for Ryan Elias." Yeah, I know.
I've got plenty for Ryan Elias, pal. None of them are good.
Cardiff started doing it because it kind of went a bit downhill after because of COVID and stuff. But like you had Owen Lane life in the fast lane whenever he scored. They played the Addams Family tune for when Josh scored.
There you go. See, Harley's got a step on you already, James. You're going to have to up the game already, mate. So when we put that on social media, it's going to need to be there, man. You need to, get with it.
Don't help every other Ospreys player is called Morgan, so either in the first or the last name.
We're a bit screwed, we are.
All right, anything else in the good news section, James?
Nope, that's it.
That's it.
The Wales under-20 squad. It come out.
Yeah, I did mention that Harry Ackerman was captain, but I haven't got the squad in front of me. So if you guys got the information in front of you, then
no, I think we cover it
if you want.
We'll do that one when we do the start of the Six Nations. We'll go through that one there because there's a lot of names in there that we need to look at and understand and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Okay. Right. Let's move. So Harley's not got a stat of the week because he left his laptop in the wrong country over the weekend, so he hasn't had time to prepare a stat of the week. So we'll just have a bit of beef and banter from James. So all yours, James.
It's one bit of beef really this week, and it was the lack of camera work at Ellis Park on Sunday. Bearing in mind, Ellis Park, one of the most historic and prestigious rugby stadiums in all of rugby union, right? How many games have been played there? They seem to have about 3 cameras there. One of them didn't fucking work. So at the start of the broadcast, you'd have the main camera that covers east to west where the teams are playing, and then you have 2 alternative cameras. Normally the blokes running around on the sidelines, right? One of them didn't work, so for 30 seconds every time they cut, There was just a black screen and the commentator's voice, and yeah, it was a bit shoddy, and to be honest, it made a bit of a farce of the whole, with the empty stadium and whatnot. And I get that where the camera is pointing, fans don't sit in that stand. That stand isn't open. All the fans are behind. But it really, really doesn't help that it basically looks at there's 4 people in the stadium that aren't players, and one of them, their camera doesn't work. It really ground my gears, especially when they cut away to maybe a shot of the coaches or a shot of something that might be important, but actually all we're seeing is a black screen. It was just slightly annoying. You compare that to, this is the beauty of the Challenge Cup, though, because you compare that to a Cardiff in the Disco Dome, where they've got LEDs and the best camera work possible, and then we literally get one camera that doesn't work. Yeah, so that's my only beef this week. It'd be wrong to pick on the Dragons for having lots of rain as beef, but that's not their fault. So no, that's my only beef this week. No real banters. No Luke Davis saying "joyo" to some South Africans and getting punched. So no banters this week. But no, just one beef.
I will say that what's the name of the stadium where Cardiff played? The
La Defense Arena.
Yeah, I don't know the name of it, but fucking hell, what a scoreboard! I mean, imagine playing there. Like, what's the score? God, it's like 50 foot wide.
Well, teams have no excuse to not see the shot clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that's the way to make a stadium, isn't it? And it's like you say, with the lights and all that kind of stuff as well. It's.
Can I bring up one of my beefs with that?
Go on then.
With this, because
is it because Cardiff lost?
Cardiff played 8 o'clock kickoffs, both of the Arms Park games and against Toulouse. Then we get to the game where we're in a fucking nightclub with a rugby pitch in it, and it's 3:15 in the afternoon.
And that's your issue.
It's just terrible timing. I've said from when the fixtures were first out how pissed off I was that like none of the French teams actually travelled. Because you can't even say a comparison of saying, well, we're Cardiff's great crowds because we're in the Champions Cup, or is it just the Anglo Welsh? Because we have no comparisons. We didn't get a Toulouse or a Racing over. And actually, I'd quite like to go see some of them play.
Yeah, I mean, you got to paste it anyway, but
I mean, but if we're going to get pasted, it'd be nice to see a team we haven't seen play at the Arms Park before, because we haven't really seen Toulouse play at Cap, because that was during the COVID. The COVID. No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed in unless you're one of Toulouse's 273 medical staff who somehow ended up in that Ulster game.
Well, we thought the same about Black Lion, mate, and look how that worked out. So don't go wishing for I'd like to see somebody new, because sometimes it don't always work. Sometimes it really backfires on you. Right, let's have a look at the games for the weekend, then, gents. So I'm going to start on Friday with Scarlets, and a message to my fellow Scarlet fans: just guys, calm down. Just fucking don't let the others get to you. I had more. So when we put our post out after the game, and we do the how you feeling after the game, all that kind of stuff. I had more Ospreys and Cardiff people on there trying to wind Scarlets fans up than I did Scarlets fans, and some of the Scarlets fans that commented were absolutely fucking off the scale. So reality is we are where we are. There's very little that you can do straight away and click a finger and go, okay, I'm going to make stuff different. I'm going to make stuff like that. The reality is there were some positives in that game. I know the result wasn't positive. I know that particularly when you compare the run this year to last year in Europe, 2 very different runs, but actually we're starting to play some decent rugby again. And we're starting to nail the stuff that we were kind of frustrated about at the start of the season. So, 3 new coaches: backs coach, forwards coach, defence coach. No, No, not defence coach. Anyway, 3 new coaches at the start of the season, all Bennett, and it has taken time, and it's taken more time than it should have done. Our defence is still a real issue, and particularly in the tight. The amount of tries we're giving away around tight rucks and all of that kind of stuff is just it's not good. But then, we've obviously been working on certain things. There's a much more attacking kind of attitude that's come in now, and it's going to take time. It is going to take time. These things don't build themselves overnight. I think the hard bit is we're going to lose quite a few players at the end of the season, and we'll have to rebuild again. But it's a rebuild. The reality is we're in the middle of a rebuild. We've been blessed for the last 10 years. We've been, pretty decent all the way through, and we were able to buy in some talent where perhaps we should have been developing our own talent more. And actually now we're in a position where the talent that we've got there is coming through the academy. I've got my own issues with the academy and the way stuff is coming through there, but it looks like we've changed what we're going to do. And it looks like there's some good talent there. Tommy Lewis, Martin on the Scarlets pod has been on about Tommy Lewis all season. Why aren't we playing him? Why aren't we playing him? He's a good lad. He's a good lad. And he came from, he's a Scarlets boy. He went to Jersey, or Scarlet Seconds, as we like to call them, and then came back. And he's been carving it up for I think Carmarthen Queens, I think he's been playing for. So he's been carving it up, and he just, he destroyed Van der Merwe, twice.
Looked good, didn't he? He looked electric. He added some energy to the Scarlets, I thought.
It shows what you can do when you've got somebody there that actually wants to play, and I think it did kind of give everybody else a bit of a boost. I'll be honest, I think he just ended Steph Evans' career with that one game, with that half an hour.
He's not playing well, is he, the Steph Evans? He's really not playing well.
He's not quick. He's lost an edge of pace. He's lost an edge off his step. And then every time he gets caught, he kicks and he fucks up his kick.
Yeah.
There comes a point where you have to go, we've loved you, and some of the stuff you've done in the past is great, but leave us with the memories. Don't leave us with that bitterness of a fucking stuff up. So
speaking of that thing, you really need to get another one of your centres fit.
Yeah, and this is it. There are talented centres there. Johnny Williams is banned, obviously, and then we've got young. What's his name?
Well, Eddie James.
Eddie James, yeah.
But isn't he injured still?
Yeah, but what I mean is, so when he comes back, you've got him. I thought Titcombe played really well at 10. And I'd put him there ahead of Yohan Lloyd. I'd put Yohan Lloyd up.
Titcombe
really looks so much better when you've got Titcombe on over Yohan Lloyd.
Yeah.
I'm actually really worried for the Six Nations because Yohan's going to be playing minutes at 10. And I don't rate him as a 10. I think he's a fantastically talented player, but I think he's a shocking fly half at the moment because he doesn't know how to play fly half. And your backup then is Steph Evans. And
well, apparently Dinky is back in training and should be fit at some point. But, the way Titcombe played, I thought he was outstanding. There were elements here. Alex Craig had another superb game. Ben Williams at 6, really starting to show. There's one, but he took a second row and put him back like about 6 foot and would have kept going if the referee hadn't have said put him down, leave him alone. So, there are elements there that are coming. Yes, it ain't great. Defence needs work, but we showed in that second half that actually there is potential there. And
you say that defence-wise, you defended stats-wise. It doesn't look it because of the manner in which you conceded your tries. They were soft tries. So on that sense, I agree with you. Defence doesn't need, especially in the tight. But actually, so Edinburgh had to make over 100 more tackles than you. I think they made 220, and they obviously missed double the amount as well. So you both finished on about 91%, which is at pro rugby is about the mark. Anywhere really between at a worst 85, if you get a win, up to 90 is where you want to be hitting. So actually, on the face of it, Scarlets didn't do badly defensively. It's just the tries you did concede. If you take the Doohan one out where he plucks it out in the air, Steph Evans, they're just a bit soft. That's all they were. You weren't missing tackles. You were giving up the meters in contact.
Yeah, and but that's the one off the kick just pissed me off because you had two of your backfield. There are three people in your backfield, and it's not difficult. If one of you goes for the kick, the other one, swings around on a pendulum. It's not difficult. Both of them going for the kick. Both of them missed the kick, and then both of them stood there looking at it, going, "Whoa, why are you here?" Just fucking, it's stuff like that's the one that pisses me off because that's a genuine mistake. The rest is stuff that can be worked on. That is just people and too many people just standing watching the ball, and so that try probably irritates me more than some of the others because the other stuff can be worked on. The other stuff, that's just stupidity and laziness.
I have a gripe with the Scarlets. Can I quickly say something?
Oh, there's a shock.
It's on behalf of the Who. No, it's on behalf of the Who. Kick the fucking ball, please. Just once.
Someone other than Steph Evans kicked the ball. I know he only has 7% of your kicks, but every single one of them is fucking shocking.
It is.
12 times the whole game and Edinburgh only kicked 16, but they were winning. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think the difference is now, and this is why I said this is where the club isn't doing its up any further. I'll talk about this at length in the Scarlets podcast, is they aren't coming out and saying, look, this is what we're doing for the rest of the season. Yeah. If we're looking on, right, how are we going to build the back line? How are we going to, work on the attacking game? Then we're just going to work on the attacking game, and that's why we're not kicking, right? Come out and talk to people, come out and say stuff. Just sitting there and going, we're going to review the video on Monday is a load of bollocks, because and that's what's irritating supporters, is the lack of connection with the supporters, between supporters and club, and it's becoming a wall, and every week there's another couple of layers on that wall, and it's more and more difficult to get over. And you just need to come out and talk and have a conversation and say to people, this is what's happening. This is the idea. It's okay to come out and be honest with people and say, look, the season's really gone now. We're looking at doing this and that, and they're not. They're just coming out and going, well, we're going to have a look at this and we're going to have a look at that, and it's just not working. So that's my style.
I just think the manner in which you lost, and having listened, I listen to Scarlet's pod every week, right? And I do genuinely. No, as funny as your demise is, right? We've been there, right? We have, and you do look at it and you're like, it will come with the Scarlets. And as much as I enjoy winding you up in the chat and telling you your players are shit and all this, and Friday night was the best night of my life, but Jamie said it best in our group chat on Friday. Scarlet's basically just like abject. It was a shit game. It wasn't good. Edinburgh didn't do anything that made you think, they're contenders for this Challenge Cup, or they're top 4 material in the Irk. They didn't do anything that was good. And then you just look at I came out of that Scarlets pod last week thinking, do you know what? I actually think Scarlets could do a job here. And even if they don't, they'll push Edinburgh really close.
We won the second half, mate. We won the second half.
Take it, but it was also like I still expected it shouldn't take Edinburgh's woeful discipline and the fact that they can't tackle properly to awake and to bring on a spark like Tommy Lewis, and then it shouldn't take that. But unfortunately, it did. And the scoreline, I think, flatters you or flatters Edinburgh, and be like, because that should have been that game could have easily ended 32-5.
Second half was a slog. It felt like the longest second half I've ever watched. And I said that on the group, didn't I? It was just.
But that's painful. Just because our ball retention was significantly better. So instead of fucking it up after 3 rucks, we were actually maintaining it 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we were, we fucked up Steph Evans's kick that should have gone through, that should have gone straight rather than to the side, and Harley would have been in for a try. And Tommy Lewis was probably 2 yards ahead. If Jonathan Davis had just kept hold of the ball, he'd have probably gone over and scored. And if Tommy Lewis had been 2 steps behind or 2 steps wide, he would have caught the ball and gone over, caught it behind him, so he couldn't kind of get out in front. So, that's potentially 14 points, and we lost by 10. So, it's not as bad as we make out, and there were a lot of green shoots there. But when you're in the position we're into, you cling to the green shoots and you go, right, okay, let's water the green shoots, let's give the green shoots some feed, and let's let the green shoots grow. And
that's what I've been doing for years, Lee, as a Dragon supporter. You're just getting into the same mindset. But the problem was this game, it was over at half time. And I was actually looking forward to this on Friday. And it was 26-5 to Edinburgh at half time. And you just knew the Scarlets were never going to come back from that. It was game over at that half. And that's the disappointing thing for me. And Scarlets now are the first Welsh region to fail to register a single point in the European campaign. You know? It's a shame, but that's where they are. So
and I think it's very easy to sit there and dwell on all the shit bits, but I think what we do now is we just got to kind of move on, and I think that's where we need to go. So let's move on to Cardiff. All yours, Harley.
So in typical Leeds thing, apart from like the 30 minutes when Racing scored tries, we won.
You cling to your green shoots, fella. You cling.
Exactly. Green shoot. I genuinely think. It certainly made up for the performance against Quins, because that was just almost indefensible, really. The quality we were up against was just told pretty much from the off. We may have taken an early lead, but with that disallowed try, it was only you could see what was going to come, and they were blasting through. I thought there's some really good performances, though. I thought Tamani showed why we've got to keep hold of him. He was coming up and ripping balls like Nick Williams and carrying. It was a shame it was at the expense of Mackenzie Martin, who had to go off early with a head injury, which no explanation what happened. They didn't replay it. Someone just said, "Oh, Mackenzie Martin's off." He had a bit of a hit, and then that was it. No, which I thought was a bit dodgy. But on that, I thought some of the attack was better. There was still too many errors in like that last pass, so the ball was going behind or just not quite in the right place. That stuck to us. Set piece mostly was all right, despite having a World Cup winning Springbok charging through your scrum. We sort of Reece Carey just about held up. Line out, we retained all our line outs, but if you look them, they were very few of them were clean, or we being sacked almost immediately. So that's still a bit of a work in progress. But overall,
what happened with?
Let's be fair, everyone was expecting us to lose 80 points every game for this, and at least we got a bonus point try out of it, which I think Scarlets couldn't do against the pub team.
What happened with Reece Carey in the posts? Did you see that bit where he nearly took the posts out?
Did you not hear the post had to go for a HIA? Basically, so Racing boot the ball long. Reece Carey, for some reason, was the only one in the backfield. Maybe this is the work rate thing. Consecutive Wales coaches complained about. But anyway, he's there left with the ball, and he sort of his momentum as he's grabbing the ball is going towards the post. He nuts the post and makes about 10 yards.
He kind of boomeranged I think it was a scrum half or whatever, was trying to catch him and kind of had hold of his shirt or whatever, and he went full on into the post, catapulted the scrum half into the middle of the post, and almost like a pinball machine went back upfield. It was quite bizarre. You see that every now and again with people running into the post because they're getting into defensive line and not really paying attention, or they pick the ball up and they're just going forward without looking. Some England internationals have done. But yeah, I've no idea what. And I said, but the fact was, he just carried on. So it was like, are you sure he doesn't need to get his head checked? There's much in there, mate.
That was a lot of speed. He bounced quite away like that. He did manage to bounce to the 5 meter line. Maybe it's just true that no prop has a brain. We'll ask James in a minute.
Yeah.
What?
So back row's ganging up on you.
Were there any green shoots for you in that game, Harley? Was there, there's been lots of bits through the season where, there's 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there, and so had a good game. It just doesn't last for the 80. Was there enough for you in that game to go, actually, we've learned something new in this game?
I think it helped that it looked like our bench actually had an impact, which is something, me and Carwyn on Cardiff Pod have said. I've already mentioned to Barney, Thomas Young was brilliant when he came on. I thought Seb actually added a lot of impetus, and Ellis Bevan, I think, has been fantastic. I'm looking forward to having the keys to the 9 jersey next season. But it was nice that our last half an hour, other than that last runaway try, I actually thought we controlled the game quite well. We had that 10-minute spell right at the start of the second half, which we basically just got pantsed as if we hadn't actually come out of the changing rooms yet. And those 3 tries killed the game for us, because it was. We were only about 8 points down at halftime, so that that's doable even against a team that don't lose at home. But yeah, and those 3 tries killed us. But I thought the fact our heads didn't drop, which is something that has happened in like the Toulouse game and the Quins game in Europe, it just helped us carry on, and I thought that was very encouraging. I do think though it does show the difference in quality with what we're dealing with and these big European sides.
So, question for you, and on rumours, rumour question, because this went around after the game as well. Thomas Young just doesn't look like he's getting a sniff from Gatland at all. And for me, he's the best 7 in Wales at the minute. It's between him and Jack Morgan when Jack Morgan's fit, and I can't for the life of me understand why he's not on the side. So his contract finishes at the end of this season. Chances of keeping him?
I don't know. I mean, without knowing how much interest and how much he wants to just stay in Wales, I think it's going to be him wanting to stay in Wales specifically that will keep him more than contract, because he's not going to get a sniff. I think if he was going to get a call up to a World Cup squad, it would have been the last one when he had that season where he was absolutely on fire. He's struggled with injury this season. He's only back 2 games. And, if he's not in Gatland's plans for the summer, I wouldn't have blamed, Gatland's probably would have said yay or nay to him by now. I wouldn't blame him for moving away, but I do hope he stays, because the reason why I think he was so good for Cardiff last season was because he never went away with Wales. So you had this, consistent person who's been there, done that. His athleticism. You see the pace. Maybe not so much this game, but the game against Quins. He scored those 2 tries, and then when he went off, we sort of lost a lot of pace. Because as brilliant as Ellis Jenkins is, he's a fantastic leader, brilliant solid defender. He just doesn't have the same pace as Thomas Young. Like Thomas Young has the pace of a winger, but the skill set of an open side, which is you see some of the tries he scored for us come from either him ripping the ball and going the distance, or he's on the shoulder of a halfback. And I think some defenders are constantly deceived by his pace, so we can just outstrip him. We're going to have to make cuts somewhere. We're losing 700,000. Players like Mason Grady, if we are going to keep him, and I think he's a higher priority, he's going to want a bit more of a wedge. I imagine Alex Mann and Mackenzie Martin are probably on a little bit more than they would have been. They'll be their first contracts just out of the academy. We need to keep. We're probably looking at signing another tight head, probably not a tight head prop, but a tight head lock. And I really want to keep Tamani. And it's a case of can we cope with the 7s and back rows we have? Because when you think about it, we've got Ellis Jenkins, we've got Jim Botham, we've got Lucas De La Rua coming through. Josh Turnbull can go there. At a push, you probably put Alex Mann there, even though I think he's just an out-and-out blindside. Is he the player we need?
Well, he's very welcome down west, mate. If he does decide to leave and he wants to stay in Wales, he'd be very welcome down west. As long as he don't get injured, he'll be fine.
I thought you were getting Basham.
Yeah, apparently, but that's all gone a bit quiet. Apparently, he's been seen around the park, and he's had a tour of the park and all that kind of malarkey. Why?
On
I
that
don't
very
know.
reliable website, Scarlet's Fever, isn't it? Very reliable website.
Not associated with my podcast, shall we?
My favourite
Every
website
single time.
ever. I love that website so much.
Thing
It's
is that
funny.
if you are having a walk around Parker Scarlett, it's open, you know, all the time. So it's not like you can do it in private. If you are walking around there, then you're going to get seen. And if you're big, so when was it, 10, 15 years ago? Yeah, would have been like 10, 12 years ago when I just finished playing. So I was 18. Well, I'm 18 stone now, so I must be about 20 stone. And I was big and bulky and all that kind of stuff. And I was doing some stuff at the park on a day when there was nothing else on. And somebody said to me as I was walking, I was outside the cafe, and somebody said to me, are you a new signing? And I'm like, oh, please, yeah, I can go and say that again. Get that on camera. Go on, somebody. So there are loads of people around there, and if you look half decent, then somebody will ask you, "Were you signing? And are you joining the squad and all that kind of stuff?" So it just happened.
What actually happened though was Basham accidentally ordered his M&S parcel to the wrong M&S, and he went to Trostra, so he had to drive all the way down to Trostra. He stopped in the Costa. He stopped in the club shop just to see the Castore merch, realised that even he's not on that much money and he can't afford the Castore merch. And then someone from the Scarlet's Fever forum who sits in the car park typing away whenever John Daniels comes out of his office. And that's what's happened, I think.
Anyway, let's move on to the Dragons game, Jim. We're going to finish on a positive with the Ospreys, so let's discuss the Dragons game. What did you think of the first half, Jim? And then what did you think of the second half?
Well, look, before I go into the game, I just want to quickly say this, right? So, I was in hospitality, as you guys know, on Sunday night. I was in the director's box, and I met the co-owners. So I met David Buttress in person. I met David Wright, Paul Turner was there, and Jason Forster was there. And I had a good chat with them. And what I'd say to Dragon supporters in particular is we're in really good hands with these guys. And I know it's really frustrating at the moment, results, but these guys are passionate and they really care about the club. Okay, because I had good conversations with them. There are big plans. There is a big plan ahead. There's going to be changes on the field. There's going to be changes off it. They know the frustrations and the problems at the Dragons. They are fully aware. So when we as Dragons fans moan about our front five, about certain players, not putting in performances, about certain coaching, they know all that. They're very knowledgeable. They fully understand the issues. And they're very honest. And they're not happy with results this season. They wasn't happy after the Sharks result either, to be honest. There's a lot of effort and jeffing. But for me, it was good to see because it shows that they care. And I just felt really reassured, to spend time in their company, to see it from the other side. And they know that things have to change and they will work hard to make those changes happen, because what people need to understand now is this is not WRU money anymore. It's their money. They're putting their own money into this, so they are determined to make it work. David Wright is quite a strong character. He's got a very strong opinion. So everybody thinks that David Buttress is sort of the face of Dragons, which he is. But I think David Wright is going to be the guy behind the scenes driving these changes. Because his wife did say to me, oh, he's not going to be happy in the colour, so all I'm going to hear is him going off for what about the game, telling me this and that. And he's very passionate. So, yeah, that was an interesting experience. Like I said, I would just urge Dragons fans to stay positive. And look, I know when people say, give it time, be patient. We've heard all that before. We've been here for the past 10, 15 years. But what I would say is these guys have only taken over since September. So we've got to give them a chance. I know things are tough now, but trust me, there is a plan in place. There's going to be changes. Just stick with it, and things will hopefully be better. But I just want to let Dragons supporters know that, because I've seen it from the other side now. I think it's important to let them know that. So in terms of the game itself, I don't think that scoreline was a true reflection of the game, because the Dragons went toe-to-toe with the Sharks for large periods. I mean, you've got to consider the 69 minutes, we were only 12-9 down. But then once Grobler scored that try, in the 70th minute, that was pretty much it. It killed us. It killed the game. And in the last 5 minutes, then the wheels come off. So you get Martinez gets a yellow card. We could see 2 soft tries, which makes the scoreline looks far worse than what it should have been. But I just don't think that scoreline reflected the game. I thought we did all right, actually. But this game was always going to be decided by the forwards. And the Sharks have got very powerful forwards. They World Cup winners, and we just couldn't contain the power. For me, there's 2 key moments in this game. It happened in the first half. So that Jared Rosser disallowed try. I mean, I don't think he realised how much time he had because he did all the hard work, to be fair. So Dane Blacker throws a silly pass, goes to Lukaku, and he kicks all the way up the field. To his credit, Jared Rosser tracks all the way back, gathers the ball, makes a brilliant run, kicks it through. He beats Jaden Hengster for pace. He just had to put his hands on the ball. He had time just to put his hands on the ball. And he sort of overran it. And he sort of dived on the ball, but he was never really in control. And I remember I watched it live at the time in the game. And I look at Jason Forster, we both look at each other going, ooh. And then we saw the TV in the box, and you knew straight away it was going to be disallowed, even when they took the conversion, because, of course, it's changed now, isn't it? Even after you take the conversion, you can still review the try. And I knew it wasn't going to be a try. And that was a huge moment because the Dragons could have been 10-0 up. And then right at the end, on the stroke of half-time, we got Archer Nish then scoring right just before half-time, and that killed us. All we needed to do was hold out, and yeah, I think that try at half-time really took the wind out of our sails. So pretty disappointed. I don't think we handled the conditions very well. And, I like Will Reid an awful lot. They speak about how talented he is. I don't think he had a good game. I don't think he kicked well at all. I think in those conditions, you've got to kick smart. It's absolutely right. There was a lot of moans and groans from the stands when he was kicking. I have no problem with the kicking because in weather like that, you put boot to ball. And the conditions were horrendous, by the way, because it was in the middle of a storm. But his kicking was just aimless at times. I couldn't understand what he was trying to do. And I thought he had a really poor game, and hopefully he'll learn from that. And, he's had a few games now, Will Reid. He's becoming a senior member of the team. And I just think he has to be better at learning how to control the game. But look, if we're talking green shoots, I thought Wainwright was fantastic again. Fingers crossed he'll sign a new contract. I'm hearing good noises about that, by the way. So fingers crossed. I thought Ryan Woodman was brilliant. Shame now his season looks like it's coming to an end. Harry Ackerman, I'm beginning to understand now why a lot of people in the club game really rate this guy. And this is why you're seeing more of with Ackerman, because it looks like now that Max Clark and Seal Thompson are going to leave the club. So the Dragons now, they're giving him more game time. So then when he comes into next season, he's not coming in raw, and he's developing really well. And I'll give a shout out as well to Leon Brown, because I thought he actually scrummaged decently. And that's not, as we all know, a strong area of his game. But considering who he was up against, I thought Leon actually did all right. And actually, I would say our scrum disintegrated when he went off, which again, it sounds weird to say, but I thought, our scrum was holding up pretty good until Leon went off. So that's good news for Wales, because he is going to feature heavily for Wales in the Six Nations. Yeah, you expect Kieran Azarati to be starting tight head, but Leon is going to feature, and we need him to be, dominant in the scrum. So, yeah, no knockout rugby for the Dragons this season. So that's their campaign over. I guess the aim has to be now trying to avoid finishing bottom of the league, because the Sharks are going to pull away at some point. I don't think the Sharks are still a good team. I'm still not convinced by them. They got brilliant players. They got fantastic players. But as a team, I still don't think they're very good. But they are going to pull away at some point. And I do expect Dragons to be dragged at the bottom. But we got to just try our best now to concentrate on URC and avoid being the worst team in Wales and avoid being the worst team in the league. But I've I'm resigned to the fact that we probably will finish bottom now. But yeah, very disappointed, because had we won that game, going into the Argus, we would have faced Bayonne at home, which would have been a nice little money spinner. But yeah, just disappointed. You said earlier, Lee, didn't you, about Scarlets? That's where we are. It's the same with the Dragons. That's where we are. And what we're seeing in Wales, we've got 2 competitive teams. We got Ospreys and Cardiff, and then there's us then, isn't there? There's Dragons and Scarlets. That's just where we are. So, yeah, disappointed.
To be fair, Cardiff are still getting pasted by more than us every week. So, I wouldn't say Cardiff are particularly competitive at the minute. I say Cardiff are competitive.
They have been competitive.
They're competitive in patches, and then they they all stop and have a cup of tea and watch the other team score for 20 minutes and then decide to go back on and play. So, yeah.
Which is getting on and playing more than the Scarlets have been doing. I mean, you could talk about us getting pasted. Literally, the 3 games are the only games where we haven't got a losing bonus point. Scarlets have barely managed to get a bonus point of any kind this season. So, pipe down. I'll take crap from James because that's actually a decent.
Not to be dismissive of our glorious Sky King Mason Grady, and he's the overlord of us all. But Christian Wade made him look like a fucking competition winner on Saturday.
I had to check and see who it was.
He's got Grady spinning around in circles. Yeah. And did you ask me? Did I see everything else? No, I didn't. I saw that try, and that's what I'm sticking to. That's the narrative.
Did you see the bit where Ray Lilo bites in and leaves Grady trying to defend a 3-on-1?
All I saw was Grady spinning around. That would make Len Goodman give him a 10, mate.
I had to rewind
it's better than what Luke Morgan would have done, which is just slap the ball down.
Girls, calm down. Right, let's move on to the Ospreys game. So the other 3 of us are going to put our earplugs in for 5 minutes and have a snooze and just let you crack on there. All yours, James.
Good game, this.
That's your opener, is it?
Yeah, good game. A really definitely a tale of the cliche of tale of two halves type game. It's sort of a shaky start between both teams trying to feel each other out. What I will say is Lions discipline, but also they came across a very dirty team, which I've never sort of seen with the Lions before. PJ Bota getting a yellow card early on for elbow to the face of Harry Deeves, which has weirdly happened to him twice this season now. PJ Bota has been cited over it, I believe. So obviously makes you question again the process around yellow and red cards. Then their inside centre getting binned for a hit off the ball on Owen Watkin, which I didn't see. I was dropping my girlfriend at the station. And then another one for team penalties. But so their discipline wasn't great. We score early on through an Owen Watkin charge down, which again, adds fuel to the fire that we don't score tries on purpose. Which in a way, I thought, yeah, fair enough. I was like, Hugh Griffin messaged me that exact thing, and then I messaged him the full time and said, "Does that one count?" But yeah, so we go into the last 7 minutes, 28-17 down, and it's not been a particularly bad performance either. And I was messaging the boys on the Irie saying, "You know what? I'm happy with this performance that we've gone out with." Quite a depleted squad. There's still senior players, and they've still got your Adam Beards, your George North. All right, he went off quite early. Sam Parry's very seasoned. He was a seasoned veteran. Smatterings of players there, but you still had lots of inexperience on that team. And I was just really happy with the performance. And I actually think it correlated with Jack Walsh coming on. And we said in the chat saying, we need to bring Jack Walsh on now, let him close this game out. And he did. He came on and played really well. Apart from the one where he managed to kick a ball backwards into touch off a penalty. Never seen that before. But yeah, up steps Keelan Giles, Harry Deeves, who was man of the match, deservedly so. Really one of Wales's the regional sevens, if you go into that sphere of Thomas Young's playing very well. Harry Deeves is up there at the minute for me. He is ace. He's very similar to Alex Mann in the sense of they are just workhorses. They tackle everything, hit rucks, carry hard, do all the donkey work. And they were the 7 and 6 at Wales under 20, so it's not they're cut from the same cloth essentially. Keir Williams gets the offload to Keelan Giles. He goes over. He's now got an absurd stat, like he scored 10 times in 13 Challenge Cup appearances, which is so very Ospreys. And then, you got young Cameron Jones coming on a prop, makes that beautiful line break, gets the passes away. Cameron Jones, the other one, goes over. And then you're like, holy shit, we're winning with 4 minutes to go in South Africa. How are we going to lose this then? But that's the thought you have, not just as an Ospreys fan, but as a Welsh rugby fan. I don't think any of us feel comfortable with the lead. No. We could be 50 points up with 30 seconds to go, and I'm like, has a penalty try coming here? And
it's the Welsh way, isn't it? It's the Welsh way.
It is the Welsh way. I've been stung too many times by Andrew Ford compilations where I see Wales not kicking the ball to touch and Elliot Daly around the fucking ball in, or 100-minute France game or something like that. I've seen the script before, and then up steps Morgan Morse, who apparently can score worldies in an altitude in the heat as well. I'm just absolutely buzzing with the whole thing. I was in shock. To go out there for our first win in South Africa in the Irk. We have won in South Africa before when we played the rubbish teams. Your Southern Kings and your Cheetahs. No offense to them, I love the Cheetahs, and and the King. But when you've got Adam Beard hitting missed 3 passes against you, and Dan Evans scoring hat tricks, the Southern Kings aren't a serious team. So to win against a proper South African team, in that manner, essentially, I was just so happy for the team. We talk about, again, I'll keep banging on about it. The culture is there. It's club. It spreads throughout the whole group, and you can see it down in the under-18s who are doing really well at the minute. The women's under-18s who are starting slowly to pick up steam now, all the way up. You see that culture is thing. We've won 8 out of 13 games in this block. If you'd have said 8 out of 13 games to me at the start of the season, where we were, all right, we have enough players to cover training, and like Cardiff, and that was a grave situation for them. But we still had lost a lot. And it bit your arm, and I still look at that figure now. 8 out of 13 games, we're sitting 8th in the Irk. It's just a really, really good feeling at the minute, and I know it's going to come crashing down because we've got to go out to South Africa and we've got to play Leinster, Munster, and Ulster. So look, I know the feeling is not, is going to come back, but you just think, we've got couple of weeks off now. We haven't got many in the Wales squad. We've got injuries to come back in this time period. So your Tippericks, your Will Griffs, your Rhys Davises, your Morgan Morrises, a lot of these players to come back, and you're just thinking like, there's a top 8 in there somewhere. It's doable. It's actually doable, and it is fun to rag on. It is fun to rag on other teams, right? And I do like winding at Cardiff saying they restored pride in Welsh rugby, and because they've posted a photo of them in a circle in Paris, or it's fun to rag on the Scarlets because they're shit. I don't like ragging on the Dragons because I think Jamie's a fair and balanced podcaster who, and Dragon's Lair is one of the best pods of the week. Not because he said
agree more.
Yeah, he said good things on Twitter today. But actually, it's not fun when you're not all doing well. Because ultimately, I want Welsh rugby to do well, but I want the Ospreys to do more well. And Cardiff are probably a year behind on that rebuild, but it will come for Cardiff. And Scarlets and Dragons, in the positions they're in now, they're probably about 2 years off that rebuild. I watched the regional academy, whatever, the RAG league, and I watched that Cardiff Scarlets game the other day, and I'm like, what if some of these boys continue on that path? I'm not going to say his name. I can see you looking at me. I'm not saying his name. Right? He played well.
His name.
Right? Yeah, but you
worship at his feet.
Tian Scarlett, things like that. But Rupert Moon's boy looked good. Jack Moon, I think his name is. But you look at these players. That game was a farce, 44-40 at Cardiff Arms Park. But Ospreys have got Dylan James, Nick Fitzjones, Seb Rodriguez Davis. It does. There are more green shoots than we think, and, especially at the Ospreys. And just to plug my pod, we're interviewing Lance Bradley on Wednesday, right? And looking at the questions and speaking to Lance throughout the week and things like this, there's a genuine excitement and a buzz around the place. And you just, I really hope, and this is a plea, get down to the stadium. It's killing me that I can't be there at the Ulster game on the 18th of Feb because I've got other commitments. But best believe I will be there for the Sale game at home. And this is where the casuals do come out. Please do. If we can get, I'll take the hit. If we get 10K at that game, I will take the piss taking or whatever that we only got 10K at the Liberty or the Swansea.com. But I will be landed if we get 10K.
Have you seen that tweet from Russ Petty? There's a really good stat. It's not my stat, it is from Russ Petty. So Ospreys have won 4 games in a row. They outscored their opponents in those wins in the second half by 14 points, 19 points, 14 points, and 14 points. Right? And I honestly think that win in South Africa against the Lions, not only is that the best Welsh result this season, I think that's actually one of the best ever performances and results by a Welsh region, because you got to consider Ospreys were down to the bare bones. Toby Booth was saying before they flew to South Africa, we're in survival mode. We are in survival mode. To go out there and, like you said, 28-17 down after 72 minutes, I just think it was an outstanding win, outstanding performance. And Toby Booth and the Ospreys. No, because I put this on Twitter earlier, right? And I'm not trying to wind up Cardiff fans. I think Cardiff have done very well, and they've been competitive, more competitive than what we expected, given the chaos they had. The point I make of this, though, Cardiff have only won 3 games all season, okay? They beat the Dragons twice, whoopie-doo. They beat the Stormers. Good win, but they were poor. Ospreys have won 8 from 13, and they are down to the bare bones. And I genuinely believe, out of all the regions, Ospreys right now are the ones that are setting the trend, and they are the team, the Welsh team at the moment. There's something special going there, and Booth has got them. There's a culture there, isn't there? There's something happening at the Ospreys. It's culture, it's team spirit. He's just a brilliant coach. I wish we had Toby Booth at the Dragons, because I really believe if he came down here, he could make a difference to us. Honestly, God, I read something today.
I read something today that Toby Booth is the most experienced coach there as well. If you look at the 4 regions, right, you got David Flanagan, who's a young, innovative coach. David Flanagan,
David Flanagan.
David Flanagan.
You mean Dave Flan?
No, David Flanagan and his mate Dai Kebabs, who is a young, innovative coach. You've got Dwayne Peel, whether Scarlets fans think he's the right person for the job. Again, he is a young, innovative coach who cut his teeth very well at Ulster. Okay. And then you've got the other one, Matt Sherratt. Who again
is a very good coach.
Who again has cut his teeth as an attack coach, not the Ospreys, who didn't do any fucking attack coaching there.
That's just because Ospreys don't know what attack is. Just don't blame Sherratt for that.
Stop counting at 10. That's the bird. Once they get to 10, they can't count.
They've cut their teeth, but there is that, with Booth coming in, you look back at his coaching ticket. London Irish is his first head coach job. He didn't have a head coach job after that until the Ospreys. And he did well at that London Irish team, if you remember, back in the late 2000s, took them to...
Before they started hiring rapists.
Yeah, before they started hiring abominable humans. He took them to finals, he took them to Europe, whatever. He then cut his teeth, Quins, Bath.
He's got a good CV. He has got a very good rugby CV.
And then he's got the eye for the coaching side of it as well. He brought Mark Jones in, when, for all intents and purposes, he should have either gone to the Scarlets as a defence coach, or he should have stayed in the Wales setup.
Which he should have.
He's brought forward Duncan Jones from just being a set piece coach to first team coach. He brought Fussell through, who again, whether you think the Ospreys attack is working or not, has started working the last couple of weeks, right? Especially with Dan Edwards at 10. And then he's brought Richard Kelly through, former Scarlet, former Osprey, as he's transition coach, but set piece coach essentially. And you're thinking, yeah, that's a settled coaching ticket. And you know, you look at the other ones, and it's just going to take time. But Scarlet, like Lee said, the Scarlet's one is teeth in at the minute. It will come. You know, the one I question with the Scarlets is Jared Payne. He was a defense coach everywhere else, but there was an attack coach. Maybe I'm thinking
that's not a weird thing. You do get them.
It's not, it's not a weird thing, but he was a good defense coach.
But I think the problem is it's almost like, you know, we always joke about Wales being boys for hire, but it's basically Jared Payne left Ulster because they wouldn't make him the attack coach because he's doing a really good job with the defence. And then Peel's like, oh, yeah, you come over here, you be our attack coach. But he's never done it before. Then you got Peel, who's never been the head coach before.
But we all going to learn somewhere,
it feels like there's no... And I think it's similar to Dragons. There's no real... I mean, I think that's the reason... Was it Paul Walker or whatever his name is? You know,
Paul Walker, he was in Fast and Furious, mate. Paul Turner, you're thinking.
R.I.P.
Yeah, that's one.
Paul Turner, yeah.
Leave me alone. I don't know names at the best of times. I have no use for it. If it's not numbers on a spreadsheet, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
But, you know, the point is, there's no experience there. Like, I feel like with Matt Sherritt, it's probably working a little bit better at Cardiff because it's a promotion from within, and a lot of the team are the same. You're not trying to bring in lots of new people, trying to set up your own culture. You know, like, there's no coincidence that the best Scarlets looked over the last 2 years is when Lee Blackett was in as a consultant. Because it's
look how well Bath are
the
doing
craft
now.
of being a head coach.
Look how well Bath are doing now. It's no coincidence, is it? You know, good coaching.
Also, you know, Blackett and Peel had worked together before. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for that. And, you know, I think it'll come. I think it comes. Anyway.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
Ospreys are
the Ospreys, Ospreys should be better anyway, because, you know, they've had like 3-4 years of Booth and this settled team, this settled squad, you know, like, why are they not winning the URC, James?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're underperforming, James.
Yeah.
As big as you think you are, mate, you're underperforming.
And
wind your neck in, son. You're underperforming.
And it is actually, Lee put up a good point earlier where he said we'll lose a lot at the end of the season. And that's been a bit of Booth's problem as well, is you lose key players at end of season. You're like almost having to rebuild in certain areas again. It's a bit different in the Scarlets' case. We went through it this year where you lose veterans essentially in these positions, you know. So you'll lose Ken, you'll lose Foxy, you'll probably lose Scott.
Yeah, I think we haven't seen Scott Williams other than as water boy all season.
Is he fit though? He is fit, is he?
He is fit, yeah.
Yes and no. It's one of those. It's a bit like Rousey.
Oh, right, okay.
What about Steph Evans? You know, you might lose him. What I'm saying is, you lose that, so you're almost taking. It's one step forward, 2 steps back, type thing in a rebuild sometimes, and only in a few years you will see the benefits of it.
Yeah,
like you said, Lee, at the start, you said we bring up Tian Sparrow, for example. Now, 2 years' time, or maybe even a year, when Tian Sparrow is ready for the senior team, and maybe some of that group, you might start seeing the benefits of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it be Peel, whether it be someone else.
So we're going to move on, but I'm just going to bring back on one comment that you made, where you said, no offense, but these two teams that we played aren't real teams. They're basically a bag of shit. I just want to rephrase that. When you say no offense, and that offends somebody immensely, you might just want to...
So, right, I will put a formal apology to those who support cheaters and the Southern Kings. I don't even think the Southern Kings exist anymore, but I'm sorry.
No, they don't.
Yeah, that bad.
There we are.
If the cheaters were good for one season, then Scarlets nicked all their players. None of them liked playing in the wet, so they moved somewhere sunny again. And Southern Kings were just always terrible.
I'm sorry to Uzir Kasim, Ruin Pina,
Clayton Bloomatees.
Yeah.
Plumtrees, remember him? Oh, God, he was terrible for the
look
Scarlets.
How good
he's a good player. He's a good player.
Yeah.
I know, he's a good player.
Went
to Scarlets. He went really fat, though, didn't he, when he went to Scarlets? He put on a shitload of weight.
The Piriweepo.
And then he just...
Yeah.
I don't know
too
what
close to a KFC.
Yeah, I park in a KFC.
Lee's made this point now, and it's just come back on him. It's just
Yeah,
come
I
back on
don't know how that happened. I was just going to make a joke about the way you say no offense and then offends somebody immensely, but I don't know how we ended up there. But
I will link you the game in which Adam Beard is throwing mispasses everywhere, and you'll understand what I'm on about.
I'm sorry, but that is what Beard does. Beard is one of possibly the best link playing second rows there are.
He has
the problem
more
everyone
passes.
has with Adam Beard is he can't carry, which is fine when you've got a big bulky carrier, which is something I've always said. Like let
will
him
he
be a
start
linkman.
in the Six Nations? Will Beard start the Six Nations? Because I think it'd be Jenkins and Rowlands.
This is the thing for me. I'd say Jenkins and Rowlands works better than Jenkins and Beard.
So that's a conversation for another time.
Lee's gonna.
He wants to move on now, didn't he?
My teacup.
What I'm saying is Johnny Williams is just as long as it's not Johnny Williams, we're fine.
You want me starting in the second row?
Anyway,
no, just in general, it messes up your whole team balance having them in there.
Moving on, Lee wants to move
on. So, Jamie, would you want to do a little bit of News Desk 2? What we'll rephrase as while we've been on air News Desk, and just we'll have a quick chat about that.
I've actually lost the tab now that he was on, but basically Owen Farrell has signed for Racing 92. I haven't got the details of how many years it is.
It's a 2-year contract.
So a bit of breaking news as we're recording this. Owen Farrell will leave Sounders at the end of the season and join up with they've got a ridiculous squad, Racing 92, haven't they?
Oh, it's going to be so furiously competent.
I know. It's a good move for Owen Farrell, though, I think. He clearly wants to get out to the English rugby bubble. He's had a lot of criticism. No, people in the media blame social media, when actually it's the media themselves that put far more pressure on Owen Farrell and giving him far more criticism than anyone on social media has. So they have to play their part in it as well, actually.
But I don't think he helps himself by not tackling correctly. If he sorted his tackle, then people wouldn't have a wealth of stuff to criticize him for, and for
I
all
like
the
him,
other,
I do.
Well,
I
for all the other stuff, but I think he's a dangerous player. He's ended people's careers because he can't tackle properly.
It's going to be a real shock for him going from getting passed to by Alec Davis and Nolan McGarrick. There's two ends of the spectrum there.
I'm not sure what spectrum, but it's definitely two
exactly.
opposite.
but actually, there's been a lot of talk recently, and this is where, sort of on Jamie's point around Farrell, is because of Farrell coming out saying that he's taking a break from the England role to essentially focus on mental health and things like that. There's almost a case of you're not allowed to criticise him when Saracens have a bad performance, or in particular he has a bad performance. And actually, if you take a look at Saracens' last few games, look at that Bordeaux game where they got spanked.
Yeah.
He's not been good whatsoever, and it's almost been like the big elephant in the room. And actually, and that Saracens team, as good as it is, that's a big hole to fill, and they have not got a good backup 10. And it's the same with England.
I don't rate Manu.
Well, I mean, it's English news anyway, but we just thought we'd bring it up just because it's happened and it's happened last week as well. People keep announcing stuff while we're on air. They need to fuck off. And mornings is when you do this stuff, boys, and preferably drop us an email before, because it's really not very helpful doing it while we're on
Doctors
air.
have killed kings to make sure the news is done in the morning and not the evening.
Exactly. And we need that kind of level of dedication is what we need, Harley. You should be in charge of all of the news coming out of Welsh rugby. That's what you should do.
Fine, I'll start with the shotgun and the Scarlet Squad.
Right. Okay. So we said last week that we weren't going to discuss the Anglo Welsh League last week because we didn't have time and we were pushed and all that kind of stuff. And in all honesty, is it worth it? So let me throw that one at it. Is it worth discussing? Because the likelihood, regardless of what certain people in certain clubs in certain parts of the country
and certain members of certain boards,
regardless of what they think, there are so many obstacles in the way for an Anglo Welsh League that it's almost unfathomable how that can happen. We tried an Anglo Welsh Cup. That was shit. We've mooted all sorts of stuff. So Scarlets are playing next to at some point during the Six Nations. I think most of us, most of us,
England.
Yeah, but most of us have got a friendly game lined up against English opposition. But all that's going to happen is you play your B teams. You play your development teams. It's not going to be that big game. And I think the reason the European works is because it's European. It's the big song and dance, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is it worth discussing? Go on.
So I was just going to say, this is the sort of point I was getting at with my beef, was that we don't know if those two sellout crowds were because it's just purely because it's Anglo Welsh, or because it was a good vibe through the whole thing, and because we didn't have a French team to compare it to. I guarantee, if it had been Racing or Toulouse instead of Bath or Quins or one of them, we'd still probably get close to selling out. Because it's going to be a big game. You're going to have a lot of star players. There are a lot of people who are going to want to go see Antoine Dupont play, even if you're about to get your ass kicked. It's a thing. And with the Anglo Welsh, it's like everyone says, "Oh yeah, but Bath and Bristol and Gloucester." But we're not going to be playing Bath and Bristol and Gloucester every week. We're going to be playing Saracens. We're going to be playing Newcastle. We're going to be playing Sale. And let's be fair. After that first season, we're going to be playing Hampton. We're going to be playing Nottingham. We're going to be playing Coventry, because we will be relegated to the Championship, and that's it. Dragons technically can't actually get into the Premiership at the moment based on their eligibility rules, because the stadium's not big enough. Because Rodney Parade isn't it had to get temporary seating to go up to 10k for the.
What's the required capacity then?
You've got to have 10,000 seats. I think some grounds like the Rec get through on Legacy. You've got community engagement, which actually, to be fair to all four Welsh sides, we all do really well on. And then there's going to be the financial stuff, which again might be a bit ishy. But
also in the Premiership, you have to buy into. You have to buy the shares into the Premiership.
You have to buy in a share.
And
you have to buy in a share to make decisions. You can play, in theory, you can be in the Premiership, but you have no rights whatsoever. It's a bit like the South African sides at the moment, the URC. At the moment, until this current contract's up, they are invited guests. They're not a member of it. So the SRU, the IRFU, the WRU, and the FIR, they make the decisions. The SARU can make requests and stuff, but they actually don't have any voting rights until they buy in the shares. And are the 13, 11, because I think Ealing are actually still in it, but basically are the Premiership clubs going to say, oh yeah, we'll let you take a slice of our profits for a buy-in? I'm not as convinced as some people are.
And you have to look at it and go, for all the song and dance about, look how many people come and watch English rugby, they make less money than the Welsh clubs do. I said they make less money. They lose more money than the Welsh clubs lose. We all lose money, but the English clubs lose, generally more of them lose more money than the Welsh clubs do. And then we're going to go and give them 5 or 6 million so that we can lose more money on a higher wage cap that we can't afford. It just, and this is why people need to, if you go back to James's point, right, about the kids coming through now. You think about those kids coming through now, they're about 20 years old. 20 years ago is when we formed the regions. Yeah. These kids know nothing of before. They've got nothing of, this is what it was like in the 80s when we used to play in a bloodbath in the middle of a fucking Wednesday night when it was pissing down and you'd stand still too long and your feet would disappear and all of that kind of stuff. They know nothing of that. Yeah. They only know professional rugby, professional clubs. That's how they've been brought up. And I think it's going to take another sort of 4 or 5 years of that generation to come through to be, this is the full generation now of people that really know what that professionalism means. So to have old farts and fogies of my age, who remember the 80s and go, but it was a bloody good laugh when we used to stand in the pissing down rain at 40 degrees below. Yeah, we all used to run on the pitch at the end of the game and fuck up the pitch for the next week and all of that kind of stuff. It was great. It was fantastic. Some of these people have got no idea of what it's like to actually play a decent game of rugby. They've got no idea of the intensity of the training that's required to get to that level to start with. I mean, we can sit there and criticize players now. Just to be in that position where you're in a professional rugby team, you've got to have something about you. And whether it works or not is irrelevant. But sorry, James, go on. You were saying.
Well, it's just to say Jamie. That. Go on. Yeah.
No, Jamie.
When we had David Buttress on the Dragons pod, I asked him about an Anglo Welsh, what his thoughts were on it. And he says part of the reason why a lot of people want this is because we're not successful enough in the URC. And I think he's right. However, he did also say, he was honest, the biggest problem with the URC is the lack of away fans. And for me, there's two major flaws with the URC. So I like the URC, but the two biggest flaws for me are the carbon footprint, because for me, that's indefensible. And even the die-hard URC fans admit that is a big problem, but also the lack of away fans. It does make a huge difference when you get away fans in your grounds. So Scarlets on New Year's Day was fantastic. There was a lot of Scarlets fans. It does add to the atmosphere. And for me personally, I would like a British and Irish league, because I would like the idea of me going on a train or going on a coach to places like Bath, Bristol, Gloucester, because that would be a great away day. I'd not have to think about, I need to get a plane to bloody Durban or Dublin, you know? And even David Buttress admitted that the lack of away fans is a problem. However, if we're talking about Anglo Welsh bringing in all the crowds, well, let's see what happens in Swansea when the Ospreys host Sale. Let's see how many fans they bring down here then. Let's see how full that stadium is. Because we're all saying that Anglo Welsh are going to bring in all the crowds. Well, let's see what happens in Swansea. And I don't believe that we'll get sellout crowds every week either. I don't think that Cardiff Harlequins would sell out every time they played each other if we had an Anglo Welsh league. The reason they're sold out is because it's a novelty. We don't play the English teams very often. It's a Saturday night. It was a good kickoff time. It's an occasion. It was a meaningful game in a meaningful competition. But to think that we would get sellout crowds every week if we was in the English league, I'm not buying it. I've been to Rodney Parade when we played Newcastle, Sale, Gloucester, and we haven't had sellout crowds. We've had decent crowds, but it hasn't been sellout crowds. But people seem to think that we're going to pack our stadiums and it's going to bring all these away fans. What, from Newcastle, Sale as well? I don't think so. So, you know, you got to weigh up the pros and cons. In an ideal world, I do think that a British and Irish league would be better. Personally, that's just my opinion. And I don't put that out on Twitter because I do not want to get into tedious arguments with people. I'm not anti-URC because I think the URC is a really good competition. The standard now in this league is higher than it's ever been. Because we all remember the Magnus League, don't we? And we remember the Rabo. It wasn't a great standard. I know that's when Osprey the dominant, but now... But there are no easy games in this league, right? Every team is improving. Now, even Zebra now, they're really improving. It's a standard now that's really hard to beat. And it's a better standard than the Gallagher Premiership in England. So I see two sides of it. I'm not convinced that we're going to be selling out crowds every time English team comes down here. But I can also see the benefits as well. And the lack of away fans and the carbon footprint of this league are two major problems for me.
So... No, I'll throw this one.
And do we want to stop international rugby? That's got a huge carbon footprint as well. Lions does huge carbon footprint. I mean, yes, it's something that needs to be sorted, but I mean, you can't just have one league for it when others do it. And let's be fair, the best way to get to Newcastle is still to fly. Like the cheapest and the quickest way.
It's the South Africa, like they come to Newport, they fly down here for one day, they come back. It's not really ideal. They're going to come here. You want them here for a good couple of weeks. You know, our carbon footprint to the league is far greater than any others.
But can I just pick on one thing, and not necessarily because Jamie said it, but because I hear it a lot, is the meaningful games in a meaningful league. Well, you can reduce anything down, any sport down to none of it means anything. At the end of the day, you've still got to get up and go to work in the morning. Sport only has the meaning we impart on it. So just because someone doesn't find Cardiff Connacht a meaningful game doesn't mean it's not meaningful to people who enjoy it. Like for me, Cardiff Connacht is probably one of the best games that we have in our fixture. It's the one I look forward to because it's two teams who play very similar. It's always very close. And I think most URC games, there's a lot riding on it if we drive the narrative, if people want to go for it. I mean, I have no memories of the before times of pre-regionalisation. I mean, I'm mid-30s, so I've come into watching club rugby quite a bit later on in life. It's not like I got brought up when I was a kid, but I've only ever known the regional stuff. I remember Scarlets winning the Pro 12 and thinking that was brilliant for Welsh rugby.
Good man.
I remember some really tough games. I actually don't remember the first bit of successful period for Cardiff. I remember it's always struggling and getting through. And so 2018 Challenge Cup run was amazing for us because it's like, yes, we've done this. And then we got to, had a Challenge Cup run and then the Champions Cup run, and then the COVID years where we had to basically get 3 groundsmen and Reece Carey to play. That means to me because that's what I've brought up with. So I think, when you say, oh, it's not meaningful, when other podcasts say it's not meaningful, well, fuck off.
It is. Yeah.
No, it is an edge to a cup game, isn't it?
This is my competition.
And I think
but in a cup game, there's more on the line, isn't it?
Yeah.
A cup game is an extra edge. And also promotion relegation, if we are doing the British and Irish League, that adds jeopardy. That's why I'm saying in meaningful games, because there is an edge to it in cup and in promotion relegation. Just my opinion, though.
Yeah. So the bit that I throw into there is, and I've said this a couple of times in the past, is Welsh regions need to work on developing their own crowds, the home crowds. If we can, 10,000 people in Cardiff every week should be more than doable. 8,000 in Rodney Parade. Isn't that the limit, Rodney Parade? 8 to 10, Jim?
It's 8.5, but it can go up to this weekend. You can go up to 9,500 because of Man United. So I think it's about 9,500.
If everybody, if all of us were able to put 10,000 of our own home fans into a stadium every week, how immense would that feel? Would people want to come and visit those stadiums? Yeah, they would. Because do you know what? That you'd get an atmosphere. I think that's where we're missing the trick in Welsh rugby. But
that's success. That's what Buttress is saying. That's what he's saying. He's saying that it's the lack of success that makes people crave this Anglo Welsh League. If we were more successful, we wouldn't be banging on about it.
But it's a constant vicious circle, isn't it? And we only look at one quarter of a circle. There's a whole other bit out there that we need to look at. And that's why ultimately the answer to my question is it worth discussing? No. It's
it just ends up in arguments.
Yeah, it does. And it's a lovely little thing to wind people up on Twitter with. James, you can add that to your list, mate. Things to wind people up in, It's Anglo Welsh, yes and no. Put one tweet out that says I love the Anglo Welsh. Put one tweet out that says I hate the Anglo Welsh. And just see how it floats.
We've done it already, mate. I did that when I took over the account. Can I just put in my 2 cents, right? As let's bear no bones about it, and Lee likes to wind me up when Scarlets are losing. This is his only argument back: is Ospreys have no crowd, right? It's not something new. I've been there when we've had 4,000 against Montpellier last year, right? And I'll put out the kickoff times don't help, TV, whatever, right? They are factors. Let's not beat around the bush. They are factors, right? But I've been of that one of 4,000 when there's 3 of us and a ball boy. Now, coming out of, if you remember does anyone remember the last time Ospreys played Sale at home? So it was in December 2021, right? Mm-hmm. So we were sort of coming out of COVID, sort of. People were allowed in the stadium. No, only 4,600 turned up to watch Ospreys versus Sale in the Champions Cup group stages. Now, admittedly, at the time, Ospreys weren't very good. They were I can't remember if this was pre or post Evan Phillips' accident. So there was a lot. I think it was just after. There was a lot going through the squad at the time. Anyway, doesn't matter. We weren't very good. We lost every. We did at Cardiff that season. We lost every game in the group stages. But that was, I remember the Anglo Welsh conversations then, because we had it was the proper group stages. We had, Sale Sharks, a big English club, historic, owned by the brother of the guy from Take That and all that shit, whatever, right? 4,600 people turned up. Now, if there was no COVID regulations there, whatever, that's not tipping over 6K at that time. And I don't blame them because Ospreys were terrible at that time. Do I want everyone to turn up against Ospreys versus Ulster on February the 18th? Of course I do. Am I confident we're going to get over 7K? No, I'm not. Because we're not there yet. Ultimately, like Jamie said, winning breeds winning as a culture, and the fans will come if we win. If we keep up this form, will the crowd start slowly coming back in? Absolutely. What doesn't help is where we are. Okay, we're in the soulless stadium that is the Swansea.com, and I love the Swansea.com, right? It's been great over the years to us. It's been great to me, and as someone who goes to rugby with someone who relies on a wheelchair or a scooter, it is the best stadium in Wales. No, nothing comes close to it. Not the Cardiff City Stadium, not the Millennium. Nothing comes close to it. Everything is perfect. The stewards are brilliant. You know, I'm putting the questions to Lance on Wednesday about disabled input into stadiums and things like that, and in terms of accessibility, because I've been to all 4 grounds, right? I was put in a conservatory in Bridgend. You know, we're going into this period now where if we build a new stadium or develop a ground so it's 8,000, say it's an 8,000 capacity, it's a bit more like Rodney Parade rather than cap or thing. Are the crowds going to turn up? Maybe. Do you know what? Maybe they think they're right. A new stadium buzz, we probably carry that for a season. Okay, it will make the ground feel more full. Are they going to turn up for Ospreys Gloucester? Absolutely. Right, I genuinely think so. They're going to turn up to see these Anglo Welsh games, but then that buzz goes away very quickly. Trust me.
Novelty will wear off.
It's a novelty factor. I was there when Stormers brought all their Springboks over to Ospreys when we drew with them last year or the year before, right? I was I was getting photos with kits off and all these different. The casual doesn't care about that because they don't care. Ultimately, we play a better standard of rugby in the URC in the Premiership, and I will stand by that. Yes, I think the Prem have got the best win rate in the Champions Cup and Challenge Cup this season. They're playing good rugby. I can't take them away from that. But ultimately, I think we play a better standard of rugby, and financially, we're better off.
So like I say, we could go round and some people do. Some people enjoy the perpetual roundabout that is, let's promote the Anglo Welsh. But we're going to leave it there for tonight, gents. And just before we finish, I'm going to say for the first time ever, it's beaten me. It's
bloody pussy. Come on, drink it up. What's the matter with you?
Go on, down it, live on air.
When they say sour, I mean there's sour and then there's fucking raw. I mean, holy shit. So you're to blame for this, Jamie. You're to blame. I used to drink proper beer, not bloody raspberry, strawberry and coconut ripple.
Send it my way. Any of those cans left, you send them to me. I'll give you my address later. I'll have them. And I will drink them and enjoy them.
Right.
I love that shit.
Thank you very much for your time again this evening. It has been a pleasure. So a very quick shout out to James's interview with Lance, new CEO of Ospreys. What's his surname? Lance
Bradley.
Lance Bradley. Yeah. So questions to you on the Ospreys Irie Twitter or Facebook?
I will quote tweet this week's pod with all the links. Last day to get your questions in will be tomorrow. I've started writing them up and there's some cracking questions. And Lance has said that like the David Butcherson interview, there's not much that's not on the table. And in all fairness, anything that he can't say, he's already nipped in the bud already.
Yeah.
So he's well up for it.
So looking forward to that one, guys, and that'll be awesome through the week. And I shall leave you with happiness and joy and peace all round. Have a good weekend, gents. All the best. Ta-da.
Have a good one, everyone.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Thank you for listening to the Rap Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording it. Please do rate us and tell your friends, as it really helps us to grow and get better. We'll be back next week with more of the same, and until then, enjoy your rugby.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.